Mike Pence visits his Irish relatives' pub amid mounting row over staying at Donald Trump's Doonbeg resort, forcing $26,000 bill for taxpayers as he commutes to Dublin on Air Force One. Vice President Mike Pence joined extended members of his family Tuesday evening for dinner at a pub they own in Ireland. The family meal comes amid a growing controversy over Pence's stay at Donald Trump's Doonbeg Golf Club in Ireland. Pence defended his stay there, saying it was the logical place for him to accommodate the unique footprint that comes with our security detail and other personnel. Made it logical, he said of his stay. Pence commuted from Trump's property to meetings in Dublin at a cost of about $13,000 per flight on Air Force Two. His wife Karen, his mother Nancy Pence Fritch, and his sister Anne Pointer Pence are traveling with him. Pence's chief of staff said Trump International Doonbeg was the only local hotel that could accommodate the vice president on short notice. Mark Short said on Tuesday that the decision to stay at the Trump-owned property was not made on the president's orders, but he acknowledged that Trump was involved in the conversation, and the president told Pence, "Well, you should stay at my place." Pence and Second Lady's travel is paid for by taxpayers. However, the White House says Pence is paying for his mother and sister's expenses out of pocket. By Emily Gooden, Hughes. Political reporter for DailyMail.com, published 2210 British Summer Time, 3 September 2019, updated 2251 British Summer Time, 3 September 2019. Mike Pence joined extended members of his family Tuesday evening for dinner at a pub they own in Ireland amid mounting questions about the vice president's stay at Donald Trump's Doonbeg Golf Club during an official trip overseas. The vice president has family ties to the Doonbeg area, but Democrats raised questions about the appropriateness of the president's property benefiting financially from a government-funded trip. Pence, Second Lady Karen Pence, Pence's mother Nancy Fritch Pence, and his sister Anne Pence Pointer arrived at Morrisseys pub in Doonbeg on Tuesday evening, where they were greeted by Hugh McNally, a distant Pence cousin who owns the pub. The family posed outside for pictures before heading in for a meal. Vice President Mike Pence arrives in Doonbeg to visit Morrisseys pub with his sister Anne Pence Pointer, left his mother Nancy Pence Fritch, Morrisseys owner Hugh McNally, who is a Pence cousin, and Second Lady Karen Pence. Pence greets local residents upon his arrival at the Doonbeg pub. Pence commuted back and forth between Dublin and Shannon, Ireland on Air Force Two, at a cost of about $13,000 per flight. The Pence family, sister Anne Pence Pointer, wife Karen Pence, the vice president, and his mother Nancy Pence Fritch, arrive at their relatives' pub. The vice president, whose great-grandparents immigrated from Ireland, spoke cheerfully to the waiting crowds. "Hey everybody," he said. "My great-grandmother lived in that house," he told several people, pointing at a nearby home. "We're going to have a wonderful dinner," he said as he went in the pub, where he worked during a 1981 trip to Ireland to visit his extended family. But the Pence family dinner comes amid the growing controversy about President Trump's personal business interests making money from his administration. Trump, since taking the oath of office, has blended his official in-person interest, often holding fundraisers and events at Trump hotels. For example, Vice President Mike Pence, Second Lady Karen Pence, and Pence's mother Nancy Pence Fritch waved to the crowd upon their arrival at Morrisseys pub. Morrisseys pub owner Hugh McNally, Center, a distant Pence cousin, greets Pence's sister Anne Pence Pointer as the vice president and his wife Karen arrived for a family dinner. The Pence family, his wife Karen, the vice president, his mother Nancy Pence Fritch, and his sister Anne Pointer, commuted on Air Force Two during their Ireland stay. Air Force Two landing at the Shannon Airport, the closest airport to President Trump's Doonbeg Golf Club, where the Pence family is staying. Earlier in the day, Pence defended his stay at Trump International Golf Links. Pence spent Monday and Tuesday evenings at the Trump property at the president's suggestion. "I understand political attacks by Democrats, but if you have a chance to get to Doonbeg, you'll find it's a fairly small place, and the opportunity to stay at the Trump National in Doonbeg, to accommodate the unique footprint that comes with our security detail and other personnel, made it logical." Pence told reporters in Dublin, "We checked it with the State Department. They approved us staying there," he added. And I was pleased to have the opportunity return to that family hometown and to be able to stay there, and not just on a personal level, but also to do it in a way that helps me celebrate with the people of Ireland the connection that so many tens of millions of Americans feel to the Emerald Isle. Mike's grand tour. Pence stayed at his boss Donald Trump's Doonbeg Golf Resort, more than 180 miles from Dublin, for a day of meetings with Ireland's President and Prime Minister. Family visit. Mike Pence brought his mother Nancy Fritch Pence with him on his trip to Ireland, where Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar showed her father Richard Crawley's service record. Crawley immigrated to the U.S. in 1923 after being a member of the government forces in the Civil War which racked Ireland after independence in 1921. Family affair. Mike Pence traveled with from left his sister Ann Pence Pointer, mother Nancy Pence Fritch, and wife Karen. They had lunch with Ireland's Prime Minister, Leo Varadkar, second right, and his partner Matthew Bell, third right, at Farmley House in Dublin after flying from Shannon Airport on the other side of the country. Citing the president's recent visit, Pence's chief of staff told reporters Tuesday that Trump International Doonbeg was the only local hotel that could accommodate the vice president on short notice. Pence's grandmother was born and raised in Doonbeg of Ireland's County Clare. Extended members of Pence's family operate the Morrisseys pub in Doonbeg, and Pence worked in the pub during a 1981 visit to his family's homeland. It's deeply humbling for me to be able to come back to Ireland and have the opportunity to go to the very hometown of my mother's grandmother. I mean, we'll have dinner tonight at a little pub that I worked at when I was 22 years old, when I came over here shortly after my grandfather passed away. And right across the street is the house where my great-grandmother grew up. She often spoke of the castle that was out of the window of her bedroom, the vice president said. Pence's chief of staff Mark Short told reporters Tuesday that Trump International Doonbeg was the only local hotel that could accommodate the vice president on short notice, and the decision to stay at the Trump-owned property was not made on the president's orders. In fact, it was hardly in the area for his meetings, which were in Dublin, 180 miles away. The vice president commuted via plane, flying from the Shannon Airport to Dublin for official meetings and back again to crash at Trump's golf club. It's about a 60-minute flight. The Air Force puts the flight cost of a C-32, a modified Boeing 757 jet known as Air Force Two, when Pence is on board, at about $13,000 per hour. Mark Short acknowledged that Trump was involved in the conversation for the vice president to stay at Trump International Doonbeg, and told Pence, "Well, you should stay at my place," but Short claimed, "It wasn't like you must, it wasn't like you have to, it's a facility that could accommodate the team." Short also declined to address the cost of the vice president's stay, saying that was the State Department's purview. The government negotiates those room rates, Short said. "I think that the president on several occasions has commented on what he's giving up to serve the country in the role that he's doing." Trump stayed at his Doonbeg club in June, after his state visit to London. He commuted from there to Normandy, France, for D-Day celebrations. Pence is on travel to Europe this week and flew into Shannon, Ireland on Monday from Warsaw, Poland for meetings with Irish officials lobbying the U.S. to push for Brexit deal that observes the Good Friday Agreement between the UK and the Republic of Ireland. He decided to make Trump International Doonbeg his home base on the president's suggestion, after a scheduling change that saw him absorb a stop in Poland that Trump was supposed to make led to a scramble to find suitable accommodations in the Doonbeg area, Pence's chief of staff said. Short said Pence's office followed official protocol and received State Department sign-off, adding that the club is the one facility in the Doonbeg area that can accommodate a group of the size. Vice President Mike Pence and the Second Lady Karen Pence arrive at Shannon Airport for the start of an official visit to Ireland. Mike and Karen Pence, along with his mother Nancy Pence Fritch, had tea with Irish President Michael Higgins and his wife Sabina. Pence family has deep ties to the village of Doonbeg. Pence visited with the area with his children in 2013, Trump's decision to cancel his trip to Poland to monitor Hurricane Dorian and send Pence in his stead had aides scrambling to reconfigure the vice president's schedule. Pence was originally supposed to go on a trip to Iceland, London, and then Ireland, but the added Poland stop changed his itinerary, moving the Ireland stop to immediately after Poland. Our originally planned trip, which was Wednesday, Iceland, Thursday, UK, Friday, Ireland, and then we'd finish in Doonbeg, because that's where the Pence family is from, Short told reporters. That was the originally planned trip. These trips require weeks of advance and Secret Service protection, so that's where we were staying on the Friday night of our trip. When the hurricane arose and the president asked the vice president to go to Poland in his stead, our logistical challenge was how do we make that all work? So rather than try to switch Ireland, Iceland, and UK, we took the Ireland component that was at the back end of the trip and moved it to the front, because it had already been secured by Secret Service. They had done all the advance work, Short explained. What we were originally going to do is that was going to be the last part of our trip. Fly into Dublin, spend the day in Dublin, then go out to Doonbeg, he said. He added that staff knew Doonbeg was a secure site. The facility, we knew it was safe and protected. And if you're going to stay in the Doonbeg area with a footprint of our size, that is the one facility that can accommodate that. So that's the way we went about changing travel for this week, Short noted. And we followed normal protocol for this trip as we do every other trip. Taxpayers are picking up the tab for the costs of Pence's lodging and Secret Service protection, just as they would if he were not staying at any other property while he's outside of Washington, Short told reporters Tuesday as the vice president flew to Dublin. Pence is funding his mother and sister's travel, the senior aide said. Trump, who owns hotels and golf clubs across the U.S. and in Europe, has come under intense criticism for frequenting properties he owns and profits from, giving them taxpayer-funded publicity and racking up millions of dollars in taxpayer costs. Democratic Rep. Ted Lieu of California accused Pence of funneling taxpayer money toward POTUS by staying at this Trump resort, calling the move "so corrupt, your tax dollars, making the Trump family richer." The Democratic National Committee added by tweet, Pence's Irish ancestry includes his great-grandparents James Maloney and Mary Ann Downs, who emigrated from Doonbeg in the 1890s. The granddaughter Nancy Crawley, now Nancy Pence Fritsch, is Pence's mother. Pence has reconnected with distant cousins in Doonbeg in the past, including Hugh McNally, who owns Morrisseys, the village pub where Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. were seen pulling pints of Guinness during their father's stay in Doonbeg in July. Pence was due to dine there Tuesday evening and has previously said that as a student he worked in the pub. Our family cherishes our Irish heritage. As the Taoiseach said, my grandfather came to America in 1923 for these shores. He grew up in Tubbercurry, in County Sligo. My grandmother's parents grew up near Doonbeg, in County Clare, Pence said during a meeting with Ireland's Prime Minister Leo Varadkar. I first came to Ireland the year my grandfather passed in 1981. I saw the two-room house he grew up in. I spent weeks cutting turf in the peat bogs. I learned how to pour a proper pint working at Morrisseys pub in Doonbeg. During that month and a half that I was here, it was a formative experience in my life, he added. The vice president's grandfather Richard Crawley was born in Tubbercurry, a village in County Sligo, and emigrated in 1923 after serving as a soldier on the Irish government side in the Civil War, which racked the country immediately after it became independent in 1921. Varadkar showed Pence and his mother Nancy the military service record of Crawley, who served with distinction in the Irish Defence Forces during the Civil War. Before lunch, the Taoiseach showed the Pence's archival documents related to the Pence family in Ireland. Among them, the National Army Recruitment Register, which contains the signature of the VP's grandfather. The Taoiseach showed the VP and presented him with a framed copy of the page containing his grandfather's signature. A White House official said of the visit, President Trump's sons Eric and Donald Jr. Wright hold a pint of Guinness in a pub in Doonbeg, west of Ireland during their father's official visit to Ireland in June. Trump met with Irish Prime Minister Leo Varadkar at Shannon Airport after attending an event to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the D-Day landings in Normandy. The president stayed at Doonbeg during his trip. Trump cancelled an appearance in Warsaw at a World War II commemoration and sent Pence to represent the United States instead. The vice president also took Trump's place at a bilateral meeting with the Polish president in Warsaw on Monday. Let's block ads. Why?